This is something that has been a very hot topic on the Patreon Slack, mostly because we actually have a member talking about multiple shout outs a few weeks in a row, Jonathan Pratis,
Yep.
who is from New Orleans. And it's just an interesting guy. He hosts a Beatles podcast. So, the second that we heard this news drop that the Beatles were releasing a new song, he was the first person to chime in. And we've just had a really fun time having a conversation about it. So for those of you who are just now finding out about this past week, the Beatles released a new song. The story goes all the way back to 1995 when the remaining Beatles got together to kind of shore up the curation of the first Beatles anthology, which was like this massive cultural event back in the 90s. And part of what they were able to do is release 2 new songs because they had tracks from John Lennon that they then added additional instrumentation to. I think Jeff Lynne was in the producer chair for that.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Free as a Bird was the lead single off of that. And there was a third song that was literally just a cassette demo of John Lennon playing piano and singing this song. And at the time, they were not able to finish it because at that point, there wasn't a way to isolate his voice in a way that they could kind of build the tracks around it, because it's literally just a single cassette channel and it was noisy and there was just,
it was just live in the room. It wasn't a multi-track or anything like that. It was just on a mic.
So they unfortunately had to scrap that idea and it just kind of sat dormant. In the process of doing the Get Back documentary with Peter Jackson, they developed this method of using machine learning to extract audio tracks from these flattened audio files. And once they realized that they had the ability to do that, they were like, well, why don't we go and take a look at this unreleased song and see if we can get it to work. And apparently it was literally just like they ran it through and it's like, and it was done.
Yeah.
Considering that they probably spent a week trying to make this thing happen back in the 90s, and the team that Peter Jackson worked with was able to do it in like less than 3 minutes.
Right.
It's got to be just an absolute mind blow scenario.
And it's where we're at. That's how technology is moving these days.
But it was really cool. Like, if not only do they have the song that you can, I mean, it's out now, you can stream it and listen to it. There's also a documentary. It's about 12 minutes long on the Beatles YouTube channel where you can kind of experience the process as it happens. And it's just, it's really, really cool to see what they were able to do. And it really just showed like they were able to, once they had the components separated, they were able to really like dig into it and find the things that they could use. And also the fact that they were able to take some of the content from the original sessions that George Harrison had contributed to, who is also no longer with us. He passed away in 2001. And he was also able to be a part of that, which is just, it's crazy to think about. And, you know, we were kind of having this conversation around, and it's a tricky word, but it's the ethics of using posthumous material from artists who are no longer with us. And in this particular case, I don't think there's any sort of issue with it per se, because this was clearly meant as a way to create a collaborative work and continue some stuff that John Lennon was not able to complete. And I mean, it was from Yoko. Yoko provided the source material. So
yeah, you know, so the estate's cool with it. You know, it's yeah. No, I mean,
and
sorry, go ahead.
But it's also not lost on me that there's definitely there's money to be made for these kinds of things to occur. So
for sure, there's
that for sure.
Yeah.
Now what were you going to say?
Well, the thing of it is, the song is called Now and Then, so it's not the lyric is not about nostalgia in particular. It's sort of a lost love song, but the fact of it being now and then the very best thing about it, you know, as I listened to the song, I wondered to myself, like, if I'd heard this on the White Album, would it have seemed out of place? And the answer is no. It would have seemed, it would have fit, but would it have been a hit? Probably not. And I'm willing to bet John knew that, which is why it never made it past demo stage. Yeah. So it's a fine song, but it ain't Yesterday.
Yeah.
But the video is staggeringly good. And it if you haven't seen it, you just really got to. It combines video from across the entire era of the Beatles and including the post-Beatles lives of those, people. And at one point, there are 3 eras of Paul McCartney's on screen, kind of interacting with each other. And it's lovely. It's really just charming and great. So for me, the video is the best part. The song's fine. The tech is amazing. Who knows what other kind of stuff might get resurrected from, long lost demos from bands that are long gone. And then, of course, like you say, you got to confront the ethics of all that. But the video really is the best part of the whole thing. It really was very, very nicely done.
Well, considering that you had really talented storytellers who were kind of a part of the creative team behind it, you're going to get a good product out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's easy for the remaining Beatles to put out great stuff because they've got all of the resources available to them that are necessary to do that, and they just know that it's got to be good, and they've got everything in their power to make it so.
Yeah, more money than God to begin with.
And then just people just jumping at the chance to be a part of it.
To work with them, and then this huge back catalog of content that they can pull from. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's massive.
So, it's always interesting when these kinds of things pop up because it is a nostalgia thing. It is kind of it hits all of these different notes because it's amazing on so many different levels. But at the end of the day, it really is about the creative work and it's about the performance and it's about the emotional connection that music has on people.
Yeah.
And the way that telling stories, either through music or the music videos, whatever, can impact people. And I don't know anybody who has seen it that hasn't had a very strong reaction to it.
Yeah.
And, it is one of those kind of things where you feel happy and kind of sad and kind of like it's all those feelings. It's the complex emotional state of just being an adult.
Yeah, there's a moment where there's footage of the orchestra creating the orchestral pad underneath it, and a young John Lennon just sort of goofing around, kind of pretending to conduct. Don't know where that video would have come from, but it was so true to sort of his persona, especially early on in the Beatles when he was like leaned toward goofy and before he'd aged into cynical. That moment hit me. That moment struck me a lot because as much as I like Bitter John, that his goofy sweet side from early in the career was really where I came to love him. Yeah, it's a great piece of work.
And while this may be the last opportunity that we get to experience a new Beatles project of this sort, it definitely opens up the possibility of getting this kind of material from other groups.
Sure.
The first one that came to my mind as it was kind of like coming out was like, well, I wonder what Freddie Mercury stuff they have in the,
Yeah. I wondered about Zeppelin.
And there's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
And I am tentatively excited at the prospect. I could definitely see it getting out from underneath us and there being problematic things. Because like one of the things that I enjoy right now is the AI modeled singing of like other people's songs.
Yes.
There's a lot of them. Currently the one that I keep singing is people making James Hetfield sing just the most outrageous stuff. I think the best one that isn't James Hetfield, there's one of Ozzy Osbourne singing Still the One by Shania Twain.
Beautiful.
And it's really something. But it's also really something to hear James Hetfield sing Gangnam Style in Korean, which is out there.
Yeah.
James is still around, so if he really wanted to do that, he could.
Right.
It's the dead ones that we've got to maybe advocate for.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess there's some question in some cases whether the estate has the best artistic outcomes in mind versus the best commercial outcomes.
Sure.
That's always a question.
Yeah, if they start doing it to Prince, we'll know that it's gone too far.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that's the barrier of entry for most of us.
Yeah. Anything Prince didn't release, he meant not to release.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, it's nice to just talk as music fans.
Yeah.
We like being helpful, but sometimes you just want to talk about like fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool stuff I saw on the internet this week. That could be a podcast.
Yes.
Cool stuff I saw on the internet this week.
Oh yeah. that's exactly what the world needs, is another
one of those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you have thoughts on the new Beatles song, let us know. Coverbandconfidential@gmail.com. If you are on YouTube, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. We've been getting a lot of comments on YouTube this past week. That Beato bump's no joke. We're about to hit 10,000 views on that Rolling Stones article one.
Good.
It's not all great. I'll just go ahead and leave it at that.
Yeah.
But, sometimes opening yourself up to a wider audience, you're introducing people to content that they're not familiar with, and we are not familiar to them. So our takes are not appreciated anymore.
Right.
Oh, well.
I have a artist I really, really loved named Carsey Blanton. I think I've talked about her on the pod before. Mm-hmm. And she, when John Prine died, she wrote a song in tribute of him that was really well done, really, really good, and went hardcore viral. And then some people started, like a lot of people subscribed to her and then found out that she's like a big time revolutionary radical person. And
they were like, hang on a minute.
The comments on her stuff went like, "Oh, Carsey, we love you. Why do you have to be political?" Like, well, like, where were you 30 seconds before the John Prine thing? Because, like, this has been me the whole time. Yeah.
Well, and I don't feel like anything we said was political, but like women. That was the biggest issue. Women.
Oh, on the guitarist list? Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, women. How dare they?
Yeah. How dare they?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like other people just like, they were like, but my favorite guy wasn't on there. It's like, well, it wasn't Steve. Yeah. It wasn't the list of 250 of Steve's favorite guitar players,
wasn't the thing.
The greatest.
Yeah.
And so you have to, a part of me was like, do we engage or do, I don't know. It depended on how I was feeling that day. Sometimes I chose violence. So
yeah.
You want to see me get into it, you could just go check out that video for yourself.
Yeah.
That's all I got for this week. Had the greatest weekend of all time, and just feeling great. Looking forward to this week, getting this 80s show out of the way and prepping for a very, very diverse holiday party in a few weeks. And that's it.
Very cool.
Thanks, folks, for tuning in. If you'd like to support the show, you can do any of the stuff that Mike's about to tell you. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and call it for this week. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
You have been listening to the Coverband Confidential podcast for the week of November 10th, 2023.